What's going on, guys? Matt here, back in another video. Hope you're all doing well. We're back with another episode of the Sports Card Market Watch series. And in this episode, we're going to go through a more of a basketball focus. Two of the players are currently in the running for the MVP, and the other one is a player that's fallen. And at the end, we'll go through the biggest rises on market moves as well as the biggest rises and falls in terms of volume sold. So let's get straight into the first player, and a player who has been sort of put away by many over the past sort of couple of years, but I feel like has earned that respect back. Paul George on the Los Angeles Clippers. So Paul George this season averaging just under 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 5.4 assists. And it sort of begs the question over the past sort of, since the start of the season as well as at the end of the playoffs last season as well, are the Clippers, or more, not really the Clippers, but more so, is Paul George better off without Kawhi and being that number one option? I think we've seen with OKC Thunder, he was relegated to being that second star with Westbrook, and he wasn't really playing too well there. He was playing well, but obviously not at the level he's at right now. Now at the Clippers, playing with Kawhi, has had his moments, but I feel like without Kawhi has really stepped up his game a bit more. I think the Clippers, he's up there in the MVP conversation as well, which I don't think many people would have predicted at the start of the season. So, Paul George over the past 14 days, up 32% in his card prices for his rookie cards. I've noted this card before on one of my other Sports Card Market Watch series videos where the 2010 Donruss for Paul George, because he's sort of in that that bad draft class where there wasn't that many sets out. And then you have the 2011, 2012 class, which is combined, but 2010 sort of like you don't have too many cards. So he's got his Donruss base, Optic Prism Select, they weren't out during this period. So yeah, there's not really many Paul George cards compared to nowadays where you have that many variations and sets going around. So over the past 14 days, Paul George's Donruss base raw has gone up from $8.50. Currently now at $10. Not much of an increase there, but I think it's just someone to note and someone to keep in mind. I think it'd be quite interesting, with Paul George, when Kawhi does return, how does he perform and how does Kawhi impact him? You think that they both mesh well together. That's the reason they wanted to team up with each other, but for some reason Paul George seems to be much better being that number one option. It was like that in Indiana as well, and I don't know if many of you guys were fans. Back when Paul George was in his first few years, he was actually touted to be that next two-way player to take over from LeBron. He had that playoff series for Indiana against Miami where he took him to 6 or 7 games. I can't remember how many games they took him to, but everyone was saying that Paul George was the next person to take over from LeBron. He's sort of fallen from those expectations, but sort of come back up again. And he's not going to be at LeBron's level, but he's a very solid player, and I think deserves some respect, especially overseeing what he's accomplished over the past few seasons. And looking at that Clippers team, it's not like they've got their team currently. It's not like there's a second star that's massive or anything like that. With Kawhi out, you've got Reggie Jackson, Bledsoe, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard. A lot of good, solid role players, but for the Clippers to be where they're at right now, being in the mid, sort of like in the top tier of the Western Conference, I think they're 4th or 6th right now, is very good, and that's all thanks to Paul George. So, I wanted to run through Paul George a little bit there, but let's run through the next player, Steph Curry. So the other MVP potential player that I want to speak about, he's up 4% over the past 14 days. Honestly, I just really admire Steph Curry. I've really sort of disliked him, not as a person or anything, but just because as a Houston fan, Golden State would always dominate us in the playoffs, and you come up against them year after year, and you just get sick of the stuff that him and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green do. But Steph Curry is just ridiculous. He's 33 years old. He's producing another MVP type season. Klay Thompson's out right now. James Wiseman's out right now, but averaging 27 points, 6.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. So how that impacts when Klay returns, I still think it'll be positive. I mean, they know how to play with each other, so I don't think it's going to change too much in terms of the way Steph's playing right now. Card I did want to look at is his Topps base PSA 9, a really iconic sort of card. You've got James Harden as well, who's in this class. DeMar DeRozan as well. It's really like a nice looking card, really up close to the player. It's a really artistic looking photo. So over the past 14 days, hasn't really moved much at all, but has a relatively low pop count. PSA 9 is 1,147. But for a Topps base PSA 9, it's a ridiculous price that you're looking at. currently going for $2,700 US for a top space PSA 9. That's just something I can't fathom. There's nothing against Curry, but I think that's why I've never bought into Curry personally, because his prices have always just been so high. So I know he's definitely going to be like a blue chip sort of play to invest in, but $2,700 for a top space PSA 9, like, let me know in the comments whether you think that's a little bit overpriced. I think it's not overpriced when you compare him to other players, but for the card stock and everything that is printed on, I feel like that is, sort of a little bit overpriced. But, let me know in the comments whether you agree or not. It's just a thought that I've sort of had in my mind over the past sort of year when looking at a card for Curry, because, I've never been able to get a card for Curry, like, just straight up. So, yeah. Moving on to the last player, Darren Fox. So, as I was saying, the third player when you're going through is someone who has been struggling. Darren Fox this season, averaged 25 points a game last season, was expected to, taking a step up from 25 points per game is a massive ask for a player. But, currently starting at the start of the season, he's averaging 20 points and 6 assists, which isn't that bad on face value, but shooting percentages have gone down a fair bit, shooting 41% from the field, 23% from the three-point line. He's had a few bad moments. I've watched a few Sacramento games. He's been bad in the clutch in terms of his shot selection. And then against the OKC Thunder the other day, he had a really critical turnover, which led to the game-winning layup by Lou Dort. So, I think, reading a lot of the Sacramento fans' forums and everything, they really do think Halliburton's their most important player. So I think it's important as well when you're looking at players' stats, looking at the stats and everything, you see 20 points per game, you might automatically think that they're the most important player in their team. But, people's teams who get to watch every game value that a little bit differently, and even the front office as well. I think another great example is Cleveland, where people look at Colin Sexton and they think, oh, he's a 20-point per game scorer, he's the best player. But personally, I think Darius Garland's got a better... he's got more upside on that Cleveland team. So I think it's the same sort of thing with Sacramento. We're starting to see a few more people prefer Halliburton over Fox. I don't think that's warranted at the moment. I still think Fox has got a little bit more upside than Halliburton. But and I think it's a bit of an outlier season what's going on right now. So hopefully he does work it out. It's just a bit of a crap start to the season, I guess. But I still think, if you're wanting to buy into Fox, I think it's not a bad time to get in right now. I mean, look at his Prism PSA 10 over the past 14 days. I mean, that's a pretty steep decline. So $80 US 14 days ago, and then now it's at $66. But I mean, if you bring that out to 365 days, I'm sure that number, I mean, look at that. It was gone for $285. Wow. Like at the start of December. Yeah, so over a year ago, it was going for just under $300 US. So it's a crazy price for De'Aaron Fox. I think I was very fortunate. He was actually one of the players I was targeting just before the preseason. I actually put in 3 offers in for a Prism number to 199 PSA 9, a Select number to 149 PSA 9. I put in pretty decent offers. They were around $500 to $600 cards, and they all got declined. So I'm really grateful that I didn't buy in at that price. Really surprised at the way he started off this season, but I do think it is a good buying opportunity if you do want to get into him again. If you're willing to buy the dip and buy the fear that De'Aaron Fox's start to this season has just been an outlier, I'd be all in for it as well. I'm going to be looking for some selects or some prisms as well, see what I can gather. But PSA 10 going for $67, $66. I wouldn't get that, but I mean, that's a massive decline from where he's come from initially. So to finish off the Market Movers episode, or the Market Watch episode, we're going to go through the biggest rises and falls over the past 14 days. Again, setting minimum sales to 50, so we don't see these sort of one sale players that just bump up 1,000,000%. So let's see if there's anyone interesting here. Robert Williams III. I saw this actually. I was very intrigued at this, but I don't know why he hasn't been playing too well. Like, he's playing all right. Darius Garland's a very interesting one. Colin Sexton currently out with a meniscus. He's actually playing very well. Darius Garland, I'm really impressed with him. I had him as one of my investments and started off the season slow, but I think he does need Colin Sexton out to really show. Jamal Murray, I don't know why he's there. Michael Jordan Poole has been playing very well. Nikhil Alexander-Walker's playing well. Jarrett Culver, very interesting. Lucas Samnich, very interesting as well. McCaffrey has returned from injury and started to play well again. Mo Bamba is in there as well. Melo's playing well this season. Let's go to the biggest fallers. So Devontae Graham, interesting there. Saquon Barkley, Currently out injured for the Giants. I just saw on my screen, I'm actually watching the NFL right in front of me right now, and it just said that he's actually back to training. So he'll be back, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the biggest rises after this. KZ Okpala, oh God, KZ. I know a lot of people on my Instagram that invested or PC KZ. I'm one of them as well, and it's just disappointing to see what's happened with him. All the picks that Miami traded for him, it just hasn't worked out, and I just don't think he's going to be that player. Cam Reddish, Darren Fox, here we go. Eric Pascal, Colin Sexton currently out injured. Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, Brandon Clark, Deshaun Watson, when is he going to get back? DeAndre Hunter, Nick Claxton currently out injured, I think. Lonzo Ball, Derrick Henry injured. Jackson Hayes, very disappointing. Calvin Ridley out for mental health issues. Michael Porter Jr., I have no clue what's happening with him. Got a back injury, playing terrible. Kevin Durant, interesting there, 12%, but yeah, let's go to the biggest volume change. So, Time Lord, Nick Claxton. So maybe people buying the dip here. KZ Okpala, don't know. You want to buy all my KZ Okpalas? I'm happy for you to buy mine. If the volume's gone up that much. Lucas Staminich, Jordan Poole, Jordan Love. After being named to start for the Green Bay Packers, is not starting anymore, but there would have been a rush in sales, so it makes a lot of sense. Anyone else that we want to note here? Terrence Mann, Justin Jefferson. No, not really. Anyone who's dropped, Rafael Devers. Actually sold a Rafael Devers card on eBay. Really nice. But yeah, MLB season's over. Boston Red Sox were knocked out. Derrick Henry out injured. So obviously, as we were saying, volume would drop. Jordan Alvarez knocked out by the Braves. Jaylen Brown currently out injured. So drop. Kyler Murray's out injured. Brandon Ingram was out injured. Now he's back. Bam Adebayo, Allen Iverson, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, not playing as well lately. DeAndre Ayton, Shuma Okeke. So yeah, that is it for another episode of the Sports Card Market Watch series. Let me know in the comments what you think of those prices in terms of Curry's Topps PSA 9, and what you think about Paul George, whether you think he's a buy or not, and the same with Darren Fox as well, whether you think you think it's worth buying the fear in terms of how he started off the season. But yeah, I really do appreciate it if you've made it to the end. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button as always, and I'll see you all in future videos. Take care.